G'day guys, kia ora, goeiedag, my name is Wildkard. Thank you for watching the Wildkard Rugby Show. Like, comment and subscribe, and yes, you are here today because the reigning, defending, the mighty Springboks will be facing the dreaded Black Plague this weekend in Johannesburg, whatever, right? And yes, and everybody knows, in the world of rugby, there's only one thing worse than losing to the Wallabies, and that is losing to the All Blacks whilst you are having a braai. Yeah. It is especially bad if the All Blacks scores the final try and wins the game, and you're suddenly left with this huge tray, right, of sausages that nobody wants to eat anymore. And you have to walk around trying to beg all the kids to eat your sausage, right? Take my sausage, lighty, right? And you're stuck in that weird situation that nobody wants to deal with, and it's absolutely the biggest nightmare for every South African in this planet, right? So yes, let's hope that does not happen. And yes, before we talk about the the implosion at the All Blacks and the lineup at the Springboks, I just want to do a little bit of self-promoting. So my website is finally up and running, and this website will not have spoilers, so you can always visit it if you want to have a look at who's playing, the player stats. It's going to show you everything you need to know about the player, everything you know about the lineup. And yeah, this will be updated when both teams announced before the game, hopefully before the weekend game. And you can, click on the players and look at more of their stats if you want to, if you're into that sort of stuff. But yeah, feel free to check that out. I'll put that description in the link down below. And yes, the Springboks versus All Blacks are not up yet because the teams hasn't been announced. But you will be up before the weekend, and feel free to check that out. So with that being said, and a little bit of a self-advertisement, shameful advertisement done out of the way. Yes, the All Blacks imploded a little bit on the weekend. Over the week, not on the weekend. The Razor and Leon McDonald, both former All Blacks, seems to not be able to get along in camp, and leading to Leon McDonald parting ways with mutual agreement with the All Blacks. So yeah, it was, I actually talked about this a little bit in my channel in previous weeks. I did feel like the addition with a lot of these coaches like Leon McDonald and what's the other guy's name, Holland, none of these guys are like bad coaches, but Razor don't really need any of them because these are all Super Rugby coaches that competed against Razor, and that Razor thoroughly defeated every year to win the championship, right? So there's really nothing of value that these coaches are actually adding to the Razors setup, and I always found that a little bit, of a bad decision in the first place for him to have these coaches under his management. And it's not because these coaches are bad, but yeah, it turns out apparently there's a bit of a clash between the styles. Razor said basically, yeah, they're just a bit of disagreement of how they couldn't quite click. So maybe a bit of an ego clash in there as well, didn't quite line up. But I think most importantly, just the fact that a lot of these coaches don't really add anything to that Razor don't already do better himself. So yeah, I actually always thought this was a bit of a questionable selection in the first place. But that, yeah, bit of big implosion for the All Blacks out of the way there. Bit of injuries for both the Springboks and the All Blacks. So the All Blacks have Ethan de Groot injured, and he's been caught up with George Bauer alongside Tui Pelotu and what's his other name, and Stephen Perifetta already. Yeah, they were already not part of the squad. But yeah, the latest update from the All Blacks camp is it's Ethan de Groot, which is really crucial for the scrummaging, especially considering that this could be the two biggest, the most important scrums in the world battling out this weekend. And not having Ethan de Groot is a big loss for the All Blacks. But they do have Ofa Tuangafasi and Tamani Williams as a backup, and both are pretty potent loose hair props as well. So I wouldn't just rule that advantage to the Springboks so quickly as of yet, especially when the Springboks is having a massive issue at the locks. I saw some Instagram post that was like, oh, how do we produce so many world-class locks? And yeah, apparently you didn't produce enough, mate, right? Get banging and make more locks, because you're running out very quickly, okay? So all of you start get on it, make more babies, right? And the injury list goes like this, right? So Ahi Snyman is out to a toe injury. Ibn Metzemeth has back spasm. Who else was there? Frank Moster's out. John Klein is out. And who is the last person? I think there might be, Lou Diaga out with injury as well. So yeah, that's like what, 5 locks, world class World Cup winning locks all out of action for the Springboks, and we know the Springboks backbone is that lock position. So yeah, it's and HI protocol for Saman Morat. So yeah, it's a pretty scary, because the Springboks relies on the locks in just about everything, in the way they pressure the defense, in the way they pressure the lineouts, the way the way they stabilize the scrum, provide that scrum power from the leg drives. It's all really big for the Springboks and the way they play, and having all of these world-class locks missing might give a bit of an edge for the mighty Black Plague, and that is the All Blacks. But there is still a small chance that Rassie has named that Eben Smith might be able to play this weekend, and I think they desperately want to bring him back on the weekend. He's not announced in the team as of yet, but I think that if Eben is clear, they might make a last-minute change to put him on the bench, maybe. But yeah, it is a pretty big issue for the Springboks coming into this weekend. So let's have a look at the lineup. Let's see who's in, who's out for the mighty world champions, the Springboks, right? So coming in at number 1, Ox Nchabe. And number 2, Bungi Mbonambi. Number 3, Franz Malherba. Same 3 players from the previous weeks, from the round 1 against the Wallabies. Not round 2, because round 2 was the B team. Pieter-Steph du Toit has moved to number 4 from the blindside flanker position, and again, he's probably the only lock that is, he's always been a lock playing blindside flanker, so he's probably, back to a position he's more familiar with, but he's, the most experienced lock that is pretty much available for the Springboks right now. Ruan Nokia, it's coming number 5, Sia Khaleesi number 6, Ben Jason Dixon number 7, and Jasper Visa returns to the squad after his suspension. Will be at number 8. So it looks like Ben Jason Dixon will be the third liner option. Maybe Sia Khaleesi. There really is looking a bit thin there in their options in the lineout, and that is very little bit concerning. Some of you Springboks fans can let me know that. Coming up at 9, Kobus Reinach. Number 10, Sasha Fangberg Ngumezulu seems to be pretty much holding that number 10 jersey, and again, just slowly ramping him up over the weeks for the bigger and bigger, more important matches, and this All Black match will be the biggest match of his entire career, and this will be pretty massive. Curdy Adams coming in number 11, Damien De Allende number 12, Jesse Krill, the 2 combinations, World Cup winning combination, 13, Cheslin Kobe number 14, and finally, an interesting selection here, Apalele Farsi instead of Willie Leroux. Is Willie Leroux injured? Surely he's not. And this is a really interesting selection, because Farsi is not, so far, I haven't seen, at least in the international test match, he hasn't done much kicking out of the fullback position. He's more of a counter-attack runner. Maybe that's the style that Rassie wants to play, but the more important thing, the more, bigger question is, Sasha Fangberg and Ngumezulu, without Willie Leroux as a second playmaker to hold his hand, so to speak, I don't know how this is going to go with the All Blacks, especially, the first test match, he had Willie Leroux in the support and he looked amazing. Second test match against the Wallabies, albeit, they had a B team, just didn't quite look nearly as comfortable for him, because he was much more played. In the first game, he was more dynamic, he was more free to play the style that he wants. In the second game, he was much more tighter the way that he played, maybe because of the fact that he didn't have Willie Leroux to support him. So yeah, we have to see how this is going to go this weekend. Again, big question mark ahead of ahead of this match, as how Sasha is going to be able to handle the pressure from the mighty All Blacks. A completely different ball game from the Wallabies. So it's not just a little bit of step up; it's a huge step up this weekend, and without Willie Leroux. So yeah, coming number 16, Marks Steenekamp. Number 17, Vincent Koch. Number 18, very good bench from rowers right there. Marco van Staden coming number 19. Ulrich Low, number 20. And Albertus Smith comes in number 21. Grant Williams to all the English speakers. So that's number 22. Again, 6'2" on the bench with 100 Pollard. And this is something that I've been talking about. They wanted to do this for a long time. Have someone, with the caliber, with the experience of 100 Pollard on the bench, just to cover everything. At number 23 with goal kicking as well. So they're finally able to do that now with Sasha, and they're doing that again this week. And interesting, they don't have Willie on the bench. Is Willie injured? Let me know. I'm not. Did I miss something? Is Willie LaRue injured? Oh yeah, he is. Actually, yeah, he is injured. Wait, is he injured or is he just missing out? Wait, let me know. Is he actually injured? Or is he just not selected? So, yeah. So, let me know that. And let me know your predictions. And, yeah, let's move on. So, the All Blacks. Yeah, I've already talked about this. Ethan de Groot out. And, yeah, there was a little bit of, implosion as well on the Wallabies side. I mean, Rugby Australia is so useless. I don't blame it. So, people leaving, abandoning ship left and right. David Lucy Folau, a guy that worked as high performance manager at Ireland for like 10 years, was signed to Rugby Australia, and he was involved, very, very big involvement in getting Joe Schmidt to pretty much come out of retirement, and yeah, I wouldn't say retirement, to pretty much convince him to come back into international test rugby, out of retirement from test rugby, back into international test rugby as a full-time coach instead of just assistant coach. I guess I'll make that clear. But anyway, he's the one that convinced Joe Schmidt to kind of like come over to the Wallabies, and he's gone. He's gone to Scotland for 2 years as high performance manager. Yeah, and the Rugby Australia insists that this was already laid out in front of them, and this, they hired him for a project base, for just one project. I don't know what the project is. Is it just getting Joe Schmidt in? And maybe that's what they hired him for, and they achieved that, and then just like, yep, good enough, guys. Off you go. And yeah, now we're gonna get a bit angry again. There's more NRL news here in Rugby Pass, so just make sure you let these people know. I mean, like, just disgraceful, just disgraceful. Like, he's not even selected the team by the looks of it, and they're still putting out articles after articles after articles about this guy. And please make sure you comment and let them know. And because if you don't comment, this is what happens. More and more rugby union players are going to be looking at better opportunities in rugby, in NRL. Because hey, since Rugby Union, World Rugby sponsored website is promoting it more than imagine if they actually talked about Jordan Patea, as much as they talk about Reece Zammit. Maybe Patea wouldn't be going to NRL, right? No, and rugby, NFL, I don't know, right? Maybe he wouldn't be going to NFL, right? If they actually talk about Reece Zammit as much as they did about him when he was at Wales, maybe he wouldn't have gone to America, right? Like, it's just absolutely disgraceful. Disgraceful, sellouts, and you have to let them know. It's absolutely not acceptable, and it's just disgraceful. And anyway, moving on. It's just disgraceful. Let them know. That's David Lucy Folau, if you don't know what he looked like. And next up, yeah. So Izzy Folau did an interview with a Rugby League podcast and revealed a bit of interesting takes on a couple of interesting things. Number one, he talked about his sacking for Rugby Australia, and he felt like he was misunderstood. The comments was blown out of proportion. So he made a post about that. He basically said that something like people are going to hell. What was it? What did the post say? He said something like, he had like a list. Oh yeah, here it is. Hell awaits drunks, homosexuals, adulterers, liars, fornicators, thieves, atheists, and I don't even know what that is, so I'm not even gonna try pronounce. Idolaters, is that? I actually don't know what that means. That just means like, I actually don't know what that means. You can let me know. I think that's like when you idol somebody, that's like a false, like a false authority or something. But hey, I'm already going to tell because I'm an atheist, so I don't care. And and the interesting part is that he felt like this was taken out of context by the media, blown out of proportion, and maybe was egged on a little bit. When I first saw this, at the time, I thought he was maybe egged on by people around him to maybe provoked in a sense. And yeah, and then it was just led to his sacking. And yeah, I mean, like, it's just, yeah, it's pretty disgraceful the way Rugby Australia handled this. And I do think that there was a massive misunderstanding, because he did say that he didn't think that this was a big deal, and there was a massive misunderstanding of his religious culture. And I know a lot of people still disagrees, and it is what it is. You have to respect people's culture. And if we want to this, for them to change their opinion, suspending them, kicking them out, firing them, it's not gonna do any good. Okay, we have to bring them in and slowly try to tell them to change their ways using, use compassion, use understanding, not using hate and, not using hate and canceling them and getting them fired, right? That's not going to get you anywhere. Another thing to talk about is how he felt Joseph Suaalii, and I thought this was really nice of him. He said a lot of good things about Suaalii because, he's coming in and he actually made a, interesting, take here. Like, he's kind of saying like, hey, it's Rugby Australia's fault for signing a huge contract, and that's on a youngster, and it's not, everybody would, it's not Suaalii's fault for the contract. It's Rugby Australia, and they made the decision, and it's, it's somewhat of a, it's their stupidity that's probably making a lot of other players feeling a bit uncomfortable, being there for so long and not getting the contract. And yet a new guy like Suaalii, who hasn't played any rugby since high school, rugby union that is, only been playing league, it's getting the big contract, is feeling a bit left out. And yeah, it is what it is. And I thought that was pretty nice of him to actually, talk about that. More implosion in the world rugby. So England rugby has been experiencing a massive coaches leaving as well. So Felix Jones has decided to depart from England rugby, and I'm guessing he's just probably coming back to South Africa. He's got all the playbook from Borthwick, and he's just gonna come and hand it to text it to Rassie Erasmus. But yeah, so he's out, and this is following the Kevin Singfield leaving as well, and also this was on the back of Tom Tumbleson also decided to leave, and there was another guy, Aled Walters, also decided to leave for Ireland. So yeah, a lot of people are abandoning ship at England. So don't know what's happening there. I mean, England did a pretty good performance and it looked like there was a massive turnaround from the Eddie Jones era. And yeah, all of these top quality members are leaving the fort. So yeah, it's not good. So Roger Tuivasa Sheikh, RTS, some of you guys probably don't know him, but he's very famous in the up the wah crowd. So he's playing for the Warriors at the New Zealand after after leaving the Roosters. What did he? He left the Roosters for the billions of dollars at Roosters to only make millions of dollars of New Zealand dollars. I mean, talk about passion passion there for the Wahs, right? And so yeah, he's decided to not represent New Zealand for rugby league. He's actually decided to represent Samoa, his heritage, for rugby league as well. So that's a big change for a little bit of change for him. And Phil Russell there's some speculation that he might retire. He has stayed firm that he will be looking at getting to the Rugby World Cup here in Australia. Right, it's gonna come for us. There was the Pacific Nation Cup played on the weekend. 2 games, Fiji versus Samoa, where Fiji actually beat Samoa in a pretty convincing fashion, 42 points to 16. Samoa was actually doing quite well in the first 15 minutes. I think they were leading. I think there was a yellow card. And then, yeah, Fiji just got into the groove and just completely dominated the game for the majority of the match. The other game was Japan versus Canada, and Japan won. Who cares? Whatever. Moving on. So Tim Horan had a bit of a talk last week about what he felt like the Wallabies was lacking size, and he pointed out that Rugby Australia once again unable to keep talents like Lockie Swinton, the big bad boy, left for Europe, and just really bad management, like the size. And in fact, it's not just the forward pack that's lacking size for the Wallabies. I thought the Wallabies backline looked tiny as well, and that's not a knock on anybody. I think not a lot of CO still look like he's a high school kid, right? Like they're all really small. And yeah, and one of the things I did notice, if you just watch the game against the Springboks, especially in the first test match, you can visibly see that the Wallabies, the Australian players, are smaller than the South Africans. Yeah, pretty disappointing that how Rugby Australia has been fumbling badly. Speaking of size, Seth Fa'agasi has signed with the Reds. He has previously played in the Reds, so again, finally, the one team that seems to know how to sign props is the Reds. So that's one good part doing the job. Isaac Kalea has decided to move from the collapsed Melbourne Rebels to the Waratahs, so he's signed there. And Sam Talakai, a prop from, again, Rugby Australia don't know how to retain size and props, has decided to move to the Glasgow Warriors. He's had 1 test cap for the Wallabies, so he's definitely making a good move there because the Glasgow Warriors won the URC. That's a massive, massive upgrade for him and his career. And finally, Mauro Atoi has decided to, they have announced him as the new captain for England. Mauro Itoi has announced as the captain of, not England, sorry, of the Saracens, following the departure of Owen Farrell. All right, so that's just a bit of a fun update there. And Rugby World Rankings, nothing changed. Clickbait, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. So yeah, the player profiles will be updated once the All Blacks team is announced. And so probably in a couple of days' time. And then, yeah, you get all the information here. Please go have a look. And feel free to, you know, support me financially with a membership or Patreon or whatever.